Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, Tuesday's announcement that the federal government will purchase the Kinder Morgan pipeline had the NDP celebrating. We saw them trot out dozens of staffers to stand triumphantly behind the Premier, but Tuesday was just one step on a very, very long road, and the NDP should be careful about taking a victory lap too early. So there are so many unanswered questions about this project, and I'm going to ask some of them right now. Now that Alberta is investing in a pipeline, what will you do to win over BC and those who will use any means to block this pipeline?
Deputy Premier.
Thanks, Mr. Speaker, and to the member for the question. I do want to say very clearly that we absolutely believe it's good news that this project is moving forward. Construction is beginning within days, Mr. Speaker, and that is certainly very good news for the 15,000 people who are going to be working on this pipeline. 15,000 men and women are going to be literally building this pipeline, the first one to Tidewater in over 50 years, Mr. Speaker. This is good news, and there is reason to celebrate the construction moving forward, Mr. Speaker. Of course, we will not let back. We will not let down on our pressure on BC. We continue to have public awareness campaigns there, and we continue to reserve the right to use Bill 12 should we need it.
First supplemental.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I very much want to see that pipeline built, but that $2 billion investment is still very much shrouded in mystery. We don't know under what unforeseen conditions this money will be triggered. We don't know if the investment will be transparent, and most importantly, we don't know if any Alberta taxpayer dollars will go directly to the BC government as part of their revenue sharing agreement. These are the sorts of questions that would be answered by a fairness opinion prepared by neutral financial experts, which happens to be exactly what Kinder Morgan and the federal government have done. So, to the Premier, will you ask the Auditor General to prepare a fairness assessment so the people of Alberta know exactly what we might be getting ourselves into?
Honourable Deputy Premier.
Well, let me clarify right here. What we do know is that no money will be invested by the people of Alberta until the project's complete, Mr. Speaker. And when money is invested, it will be an investment. There will be the opportunity for equity to be returned back to the people of Alberta. In the meantime, Mr. Speaker, we have 15,000 people hard at work having jobs to ensure that when that pipeline is completed and we do get our product to Tidewater, that we can get the very best price on the international market, Mr. Speaker. This is a win-win-win, Mr. Speaker, and we certainly are proud of the success our Premier has seen with regard to this pipeline.
Second supplemental.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Now, it seems that the plans for the federal government to get this project through the uncertainty caused by the multiple lawsuits Kinder Morgan is facing and then sell it back to private investors. Now, that creates an opportunity to include some of the growing number of Indigenous businesses in this project. So to the Premier, what specifically will you do to push for Indigenous participation in the ultimate end result of this project? And will you make any investment that Alberta would make conditional on ensuring Indigenous participation going forward?
Deputy Premier.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and thank you again for the question. This is a project that's in the national interest, and to no surprise, there are many Indigenous communities and leaders who want to be a part of that project as well, and we certainly are excited about that opportunity, Mr. Speaker, and the Minister of Energy from Alberta has definitely been in conversations with the Ministry of Energy for Canada around that very aspect, Mr. Speaker. This is good news for the Indigenous people of this country. Kinder Morgan Trans Mountain Project is one of those critical components to ensure Alberta and Canada remain competitive in getting their products to market. And we thank the Premier for her courage on this project, and so does Gail Catcher, the Chief of Alberta's Industrial Heartland.